founder of ONTRACK Digital. We specialize on e-commerce, so we do conversion optimization for e-commerce businesses. 95% of our business is Shopify and Shopify Plus, so that's why you have access to a ton of information and inside knowledge from our testing. And today we're going to work on a website that's one of our clients. Actually, they've been our client for 3 years, so we have plenty of behind the scenes knowledge. I'll let Alun introduce himself as well a bit, and then we can get started.
Great. Okay, I'm Alun. I'm managing director of Zuko. As Morgan said, we're a form analytics platform. We've been going for 8 years. And over that time, we've installed tracking on thousands of forms and helped optimize thousands of forms, which obviously include a large proportion of checkouts because they're just a fancy form on the end of an e-commerce funnel. So hopefully we'll be able to give you some insights into the way we work with data, because it's a process we've done a lot. And it's great to be working with Andra from the optimizer point of view as well. So I'll hand back to Andra, who will take you through the site we had a look at over the past month or so.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's a great combination, and we should take advantage of this more in the future, Alan, actually, that we have the technology point of view, but then the optimizer point of view as well. And together, we'll try to make some magic today. So I'll go ahead and just share my screen. Now, this is the website that we're working on today. It's called 47 Skin. They're basically a skincare brand. The founder is this guy, Nick, and this is his grandma, actually, who discovered the magical substance behind the product. It's a pretty standard Shopify website. I'll show you the checkout that we're actually analyzing. So as you can see, super standard Shopify checkout. The one big difference that you'll see from standard Shopify checkouts is this is Shopify Plus. So we have a bit more flexibility into what we can actually customize after. But I have some tips and tricks for standard Shopify as well. So this should be able to apply to anyone. And also the insights that Alan and myself that will share with you, they can be applied to any checkout form really on any e-commerce. And it's just information that you'll be able to use right away after our show and tell. So I'll stop sharing and hand it over to Alan, who will have a ton of cool numbers to show you as soon as this button doesn't run away from me anymore.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So just to give you an idea what we did, we installed Zuko tracking on the 47 Skin website. We've got about just over a month's worth of data. And as Andra says, although this is a Shopify Plus checkout, we're looking for insights that could potentially apply to any checkout or any form even. And the main principle is using data to arrive at the points of friction, and then using that to help you develop hypotheses as to test and improve. So what I'll do now is I'll share my screen and I will show you some of the Zuko data. So can you see that, Andra, now?
Yes.
I can see now. Brilliant. Okay, so the first thing we do is look at basic form data. What's going on? Check the sort of traffic that's going in. And so what we look at is the data, sort of how many people arrive at the site, then do they start interacting with the checkout? So then do they go on to complete, or do they abandon partway through the checkout? And this translates into our conversion rate graph here. And over the piece, you can see the overall completion rate from people arriving at the checkout is about 26%, or 42% of people who actually interact and start it. One thing we do look at is trends to see what's going on. You can see there's a growth of traffic over the period. But when you look at conversion rates, it's fairly static, which makes sense. We didn't make any changes over the period, did we, Andra? So just let's see what's going on. So this gives us a rough idea, and we have raw data on how long people were spending, whether they've returned. But really what we want to do is use the data to dig deeper. We can also see that the failed submissions, so people clicking the final submit button over time, but dropping out grew. But again, that's probably in line with the traffic. So that kind of makes sense to us. The next thing we do from a starter perspective is just look at, okay, who are these people in broad categories? And the main one we looked at here is what device were they using. So we built our own report in Zuko just to look at mobile versus desktop users. And what this gives us is, okay, of all the people who arrived at the checkout there, most of them were on mobile devices. small proportion on desktop. Now, desktop did convert at better rates, but given this dominance, for all the data we're going to look at later on, we've just focused on mobile because there are different experiences. So, we don't have all day, so we're just going to focus on mobile and see what goes on there.
Yeah, so, and I'll just interrupt you for 1 second just to mention to everyone that this is a critical step to take whenever you're optimizing a website. Just because the big misconception is that you're working on your computer, so you do everything on the browser there, but you want to replicate the experience as the users are feeling it and as the majority of users are doing it. So this is a great thing to keep in mind. And so
and just to give you an idea of what the actual steps were in the mobile application, we've got them here. Now, this obviously this has been replicated by Chrome. It's the mobile replication, which obviously isn't perfect. If you're optimizing, you want to look at it live, but for the purposes of screen sharing, it's much easier to do it this way. So you can see we have stage 1, which is details. We have stage 2, which is shipping method, and then finally payment there. So it's fairly standard checkout, 3-step checkout. And so what we tend to do first after we've looked at the broad trends is, okay, let's see if we can identify problem areas. And that's where we look at our basic field data. And what Zuko will do is look at, okay, where are people abandoning? Where are people spending their time on the form? Where are they having to go back to make corrections? And so what we first point we'll look at is abandon. So let's look at where people are abandoning. And so we have the data here. You can see that it just shows you, okay, in terms of raw data form, where they're dropping off. And you can see the biggest abandon counts are on the continue and pay buttons.
Yeah,
they're clicking it and then dropping off. And we'll come on to that later. There's also a significant drop off on the show hide order summary. So that's this piece here. People click on that and then drop out straight afterwards. Again, without jumping ahead, we'll talk about that. Then there's the apply the gift voucher button, which typically is here. And then there is email so the email address that you're asking, which is on stage 1. So those, if you're looking at that, that's the top 4. And we go through those. We, as well as looking at abandoned fields, we often also look at other data such as field return. So where are people returning to? And often what we always recommend is look at the difference in behavior between people who abandon your checkout and people who complete it. And if there's a significant difference in behavior in a field, then you can often infer that there's a potential issue there. And I'll show you some examples here. So what we have here is the percentage of people who return to a particular field, and it's split between abandoned and completed. And I'll just draw your eye to these ones, 33 and 34, which are both gift voucher, gift discount card fields or buttons. And what you can see is, as an example here, for this particular discount code, in 26% of abandoned sessions, people are having to jump back to this discount code. They're coming back to it. And that's only the case in just under 17% of people who successfully complete. So there's a significant difference in behavior, which Zuko has highlighted there. So that's obviously, again, reinforces what we looked at before. And so when we look at potential points of friction, we've probably got 4 here, which we can talk about, is these top 4: the continue / pay, show hide order summary, gift voucher, and email. And we'll go on to those in a little more detail, but I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, Andra, at all when looking at that.
No, I mean, we'll debate as soon as we get into the details of it, but I think this is already super fascinating. It's a lot more than a lot of the information that you're getting from analytics or other tools that optimizers usually use. So it's really exciting to see this.
Yeah, so I mean, the first one we will look at is the biggest one, which is the abandon on the continue / pay now button. And people always come to us and say, well, it's not uncommon to say, why is that happening? It's a button. How can that how can that be bad? You just clicked on a button. But of course, the issue is not necessarily the button; it's what happens after the button. It's the error messages that are generated. It's like, oh, I've got to go back, and things you're not going through to. They obviously clicking the button because they want to progress. If they can't progress, that's a big trigger for abandonment. And obviously, when we go to one of our more advanced reports, which I'll go to now, we have kind of a field flow, which is what happens next. So what we're looking at here is we've selected an audience of people who abandon. Ultimately, they don't successfully complete. and they're also mobile users, as we've said before. And we say, okay, what happens now? So they're clicking on these buttons. Where do they go? And we can see that 50% of them drop out straight away. And so obviously they're getting error. Well, hypothesis is they're getting error messages, getting annoyed, they're going. But then you get your insight as, okay, well, where are they going back to try and correct? And we have that here. So you can see gift card discount code again, email, show hide, order summary. So it's the same fields they're going back to. And
so what we're seeing now is they're clicking continue on the first step of the checkout. So they're going back to these fields that you have highlighted here, the checkout, email, and I think this is just
and the important thing to add to that is because this audience is abandoned, it's not like they're going back and fixing it. They are then going back, trying to fix it, and then they abandon. So
of the frustration.
you have a lot of frustration. So it takes us back there. So when we're looking at submit buttons, I say, I know that there is sort of things you can do with submit buttons and making sure you can test the language around it and making sure that people know what to expect. If you have experience on that, but that probably is kind of what happens afterwards is when you're optimizing it is important.
So if you go to the first screen, we can actually walk through a few ideas. The first screen of the checkout. So the first thing here that we see, and you can just stay on the express checkout buttons for a bit. So if you have express checkout enabled in Shopify, you'll get these customized buttons in the beginning. Now, one issue that we've seen is that users don't really, some of them don't understand the fact that they can actually use their credit card in the next steps because it's not mentioned anywhere. You can see that tiny or underneath the express checkout buttons. Through the language settings in Shopify, and this applies to any kind of Shopify account, you can replace or with or input your credit cards in the next step or use your credit card in the next step. This is one small tweak, but it's actually very important to show this. Now, underneath that's one good hack that I think not many know about, but it's very important. Then we have the order summary again, which maybe it's an issue because they can't actually edit the order. So they need to go back to the cart. They can't edit anything here. And then the email is the email. If you don't have a strong email validation in place, I think that's always going to be a problem.
So the email validation, if I'm let's just test it out here, because I know we said email. Let's see what happens.
So it doesn't have inline validation, which is a problem.
There's no inline validation, which we'd always recommend. Then what's that telling me there? Enter a valid email. But
it doesn't say the format in which it should be.
It's not helpful. And
for many, not many, it depends a lot on the audience that you're addressing anyway with the product. But for some of the less tech savvy users, all of these things that for us might seem obvious, they can be a problem. You need to consider them. So I recommend doing the inline validation and showing the format that is actually supported or what the issue is in this case.
No, certainly that's what we've seen. Obviously, I can't talk to this case because it needs to be tested, but we've seen tests where inline validation has improved conversion rates by up to 22% because, once you've validated many of the individual fields. So you seem to have seized up. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, no problem.
Great. Okay, perfect. Seems Andres might have seized up. So what we'll kind of move on to, and probably one of the fields that's most controversial.
She'll be back, I'm sure.
She'll be back.
You didn't offend her or anything.
No, I'll just tap dance.
Or maybe.
Andra comes back,
No, I'm back. Can you hear me now? Sorry.
It's all about the inline validation.
No, what happened? The power just went off out of the blue, completely random. So sorry about that. Here I am, all back. I'm on my hotspot now.
Great.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so so we're talking about inline validation, and there's certain things you would want to test for around this because we've seen the email address. Now, Sometimes what we see is a trend that the first field in a form has a high dropout rate, and that's fairly consistent because people just click in and then leave because they're not serious. And so that could account for the email address. Again, hypothesis, but could account for some of that. But the fact, like you pointed out, there's not enough instructions on, what's email address. If someone is not tech savvy, older customers, like, okay, well, what's a valid email? I thought I had. They might not see that they've done it. They might have missed a dot. We'll tell them why, and that's certainly what you should do for any field, but obviously for email address it's pretty common. But kind of one of the things I wanted to talk about was we've already seen that the gift voucher, there's issues around gift voucher, and I think probably the most controversial thing that we'll discuss today, or might not be controversial, is the manifestation of the gift voucher, coupon code, however you want to do it. Because what we can see is that it's pretty prominent here, so that it's here, right just before payment.
It's very inviting.
It's like, where's my discount going? It
just says you're a fool if you don't have one. Go search for one.
Exactly, and it's also it's here as well if people click in as well. Which might be one of the reasons they're clicking order summary and going, oh, gift discount code, I better go and find one. So again, that's another potential reason why they're leaving. And so that if it is the case, then actually this is a big thing for any checkout, because we've seen it, and I've seen it across multiple checkouts. This is one of the biggest drivers of abandonment, because people expect to have a discount code, and the more prominent it is, they'll go away and they'll try, you search for it, get a code, come back. If it doesn't work, that's it. They're annoyed. They're gone, and you've lost them, and you didn't need to. And just to give you an example, real life example here, in Zuko's Session Explorer tool, what we can see here is what Session Explorer does is it tracks individual user sessions. So each of these columns you see here is a session, and you'll see how people track through the form. So let's look at this one here that's got number 3 in the corner. This one we can see is a returning user and the metadata here. So they're coming back. They're coming back to they're basically their saved checkout. They've got the gift discount code, they're interacting there, they apply, they go back to the discount code, they try and apply again, discount code, apply, discount code, apply, abandon. So there's one person.
That's a familiar behavior
there. But this shows him, this is a real person. They've done that, they've left him, you probably lost them, they probably would have converted. So I guess it'd be great to hear your take on this, because you've looked at thousands of checkouts, and this is on most of them.
Well, what happens anyway, first of all, is the idea that they might have, so you're sowing the idea that there could be a way to get the stuff cheaper, so they might have a discount code. So then that's already planted in their minds. And then when the discount codes don't work, because what happens is they'll find websites like coupon websites and get it pasted, like you mentioned, doesn't work. They get frustrated, and then it's like you're taking it away from them. For the users, it feels like they already had it, the discount or the free shipping or whatever it was that they found there. So that's one of the issues. Now, what we've done in many cases and what we've tested was, first of all, hiding this code, and not hiding it entirely from the process, because of course you want users to be able to add discount codes or gift cards, but just take it away from the flow. So because right now it's really interrupting the flow. They're adding in shipping details, payment details, all of that, and then this is right between the shipping and the payment. So you want to make it a lot less obvious, and as much as possible to move it out of the checkout flow. Now in Shopify, it's not very easy to do that at this point, but at least you can try hiding it away from the first steps, just having it on the cart maybe, or moving it as I think you'll have an example, Alan, for the attendees in this case, showing it, making it obvious, but not so that it interrupts the flow in a way.
Yeah, I'll just share one that I like, which is a board gaming site that sells board games, and they have that here. If you can see the screen, you've got, first thing you see is your billing details, your order, you're doing that, and only above you've got coupon, gift card, and it's distinguished as well. So you're not going to get people who've got a gift card also searching for coupons. So you can do that. Obviously, it still will get people searching, but
but it's not. I think it's not as inviting as the standard Shopify one is.
And also,
again, go.
I was going to say also that the other thing I like about it is they have a bar here. They have a code. Here's a code at the top there. If you buy 3, if you buy 5, because often, again, I don't know if you've seen this. Sometimes you see people just get a small discount. It doesn't matter. They found the discount. They've done it. So if you're telling them at the start they can get this discount, actually they're happy. It's just when they think they can get one and they can't. So
everyone wants a good deal, no?
Exactly.
In the end.
Because this is only 3% off. It's not massive. But the fact you've done it, and actually, obviously, it's an upsell as well because you want people to buy 3 games instead of 1. But it's still, it's a nice way of doing it, I think. And yeah, we found if you some sites will give you the best discount automatically. So you say, okay, here's our list of codes, pick one. You know, so some sites don't like to do that, but it certainly works from a conversion perspective. Whether it affects your margin is another question. But so that's another way of doing it, or just saying we don't do coupon codes at all. We don't do them.
Exactly.
We don't do
or
it.
You can have them auto applied. So in Shopify, there's the option to use scripts, and then you don't need to make the coupon codes.
Looks like Andra might have gone again. I think this
something about scripts.
Yeah, well, Morgan, it might be a good time now to open this up to the audience, if there's, either through chat or through open mic, if anyone is interested.
I've got one here actually from Ishan. It says, does this work with merchants in the US? I've seen many merchants shy away from showing discounts actively.
In the US, well, Andrew would probably be able to answer that more often. I guess it might be more prevalent in Europe just to see that. I don't have any data on that, of course, but yeah. So I think Andra's back.
Oh, Andra's back.
Yes.
Okay. So the question, Andra, was, does this work with merchants in the US? And have you seen? I've seen many merchants shy away from showing discounts actively. Or actively show discounts, I guess. So
yeah, I mean, I think it works. It applies to no matter of the location, or you can apply it for sure. And there are different ways. Again, it depends on the audience quite a lot. You can share them throughout the funnel steps. You can there's different ways to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, we're all human, right? We're all looking for a deal.
Exactly.
Anita has a question here.
I just saw that.
So will you be covering anything today on post-order completion?
In terms of the thank you page on Shopify, I think you're referring to Anita, right? I don't think if you have a specific question, I can definitely do my best and answer it. So there's a lot of optimization you can do on the thank you page. The analysis of today is until they reach the thank you page, let's say. So going through all the steps until they reach the thank you page. But what I recommend, just as a very quick recommendation for the thank you page, is having a quick survey like what made you choose this product, or how did you find the shopping experience. It's great. You can use it. There are plenty of apps that can do it in case you don't have a developer on hand. And also what we've tested multiple times and works like a charm is having like a smaller item upsell. It's a post-purchase upsell because they're already in the flow. The users, they have the payment details already input, so they don't need to add it again. And then you can offer something with it needs to be a good offer for sure. It's exactly like the candy at the shopping, like in the supermarket. You see it, your card is already out, you kind of feel like having a chocolate, so then you add it there. And it's a very you need to reduce friction quite a lot in this case. But it works amazing, and it helps increase the average order value in the end. It doesn't do anything for the initial conversion rate, but it does help.
Is this like when I see what I'm going to check out and it says, oh, if you add $20 more, you can qualify for this? Is that
it's before the thank you page? What you're referring to? Those are the upsells in the checkout. The post-purchase upsells are basically, so you finalize your order, you can see the order confirmation page, and then I can give you a limited time offer for, so let's say you got mascara and eyeshadow, and then I say, hey, get this blush for 30% off, just now complete your makeup, complete the look, and they just need to, it's called like a one-click upsell. So then they just add it to the order. But you need to be careful with this, that you don't attack the user with upsells throughout the funnel. So you don't want to have an upsell like this on the product page, then on the cart page, then on the checkout, then on the thank you page, because it feels like you're kind of being too pushy. So there's a balance with this. Test the formulas, but it can work really well. So
right. So Ronnie, I see that you've got some feedback here. I'd love to unmute you and have you just do that. Talk about that.
Yeah, so everyone can, well, not everyone at once, but whoever wants to ask a question.
I'll be happy to say something.
Hi, Ronnie.
Hey. So I'm just saying, coupon code is one of the most studied experiments that I've seen out there. I gave a link in the Q&A to Jacob Lenovsky's site called Good UI. It's like the number one pattern. He has 6 examples of people running A/B tests showing what happens when you sort of hide the coupon code in one way or another. But it's well known that this is one of the things that hurts conversions a lot, and there's a lot of data on it. In the Trustworthy Control Experiments book that I'm a co-author on, we use this as a running example in all of chapter 2.
So it's great to validate it yet again on a 7-figure website that we're seeing this. This is still causing abandonment, and you can also, so with Shopify Plus, it can be tested and A/B tested, and we run really good tests with Convert.com and Shopify because it's very tailored towards it. So yeah, very good. And thank you for the example, Ron. I think everyone can learn quite a lot from the
I think the question is, obviously it's different for every audience, so it's important, but actually it'd be great in a Shopify context to understand. I mean, you've given some examples of how to potentially make it less obvious. Have you found one that consistently wins tests where you put the coupon code, or does it vary?
The one, so just hiding it underneath the link, just saying, do you have a coupon code that's like smaller? Because if you have a coupon code, you'll do everything you can to use it for sure. And then it's taking it out of their mind if they don't have a coupon code, So it's just like text that you would ignore. For example, I don't know how many are seeing all transactions are secure and encrypted, and more, or all the small text throughout the checkout. If it's not something that you're directly interested in, you'll just ignore it.
So you wouldn't have this as a header; it would be a single line of
it's just like a single small link, just saying, do you have a discount code? Click here.
Yeah, interesting. And
to
also,
redeem it or something.
Interesting they're using this symbol as well, because again, this is purely my speculation, just pure hypothesis. The fact is, it implies that's where you go. It's again, obviously, can't prove that. There's pure hypothesis, but just it's like you need to have one, or you need to try one, or it's just that further psychological reinforcement. But it's really interesting to see the stuff that Ronnie shared, and just we've got an article on our website about it as well, which does have links to some of this research and just some other suggestions that you might want to try and test if you're having this drop out on your website.
I thought definitely worth a try.
Interesting, because we're looking at this. By the way, if there's anyone in the audience who just please feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions. You don't necessarily have to pop them in the Q&A. But I thought that going back to what you were saying, that this is a recreation of what you see on mobile. So if you think that this is a mobile screen, then seeing this gift card discount code field actually takes up a huge amount of real estate, right? And I think to your point, Alan, about seeing that arrow can really give the impression that, especially for someone who's maybe not a savvy online shopper, that this is the way that you go through this sequence. Can
be, So I think the more the more you look into it and the more you analyze it, the more you can understand all the segments of the audience. I'm pretty sure we're biased all the time. Even after working 8 years in CRO, and I still, the first instinct is, but this makes sense. But then I have to remember that, okay, it might make sense to me, but maybe to 98% of our audience, it might not make sense. One thing, that's, and that's why it's great to have the actual data behind whatever you're doing. So you can see, so for example, but it doesn't bother anyone there. But then you see the numbers in Zuko, for example, and you see, okay, actually it does cause an issue, So it's good to keep analyzing stuff.
Did you want to jump in here? I saw that you unmuted yourself.
Jetty. Jetty was on my team for a long time. She's an amazing CRO specialist as well. So. But I see that it was just an error. Yeah, a slip of the hand. Slip of the hand. Yeah. So, what other forms did we have there? Like, what other fields that we can look into? Maybe I know we're
there was the 4 of them, but yeah. So this one here is the audit summary. You did talk about it a little bit, but it was intriguing to me that this, across all the pages, was causing people to drop out. And so do you think that is people realizing they've got the wrong basket? Is it to do with this gift card and discount code again, which comes up again? So it's another reason to, that you give them more and more chances to go and search for discount codes, or is it something else?
And it can also be because now they might have shipping information as well. In your case, now it's free shipping, but for another client of ours, they have interior deco stuff, really unique, luxurious items. And then you can see you've added something for, let's say, 100 to 100 euros. And then you want to ship it to Romania, and it's another 20 euros. Again, you can see the shipping, you're out of there. Then you can see the discount code. You'll think, maybe I can get free shipping at least, Or then, I mean, it depends. But it's interesting why they choose to have it hidden, the order summary, in the first step at least. Usually you would, like you showed the example on the board game thing. The order summary is there. And I think it's there on mobile as well, not just desktop.
I think on desktop it actually might show.
No, on desktop it does show. But on mobile, it's where we're seeing they're dropping off. It's hidden, so.
And also they can't delete these. They have to delete them. You have to click the back button pretty much. Is what most people would do, I'm assuming, or there's no, you can go back to your cart.
Or just abandon.
It's a little small cart there. So it might be easier to abandon if you realize you've added one thing.
About that, one other thing you can test out, and it's great on Shopify, great on other e-commerce stores as well, just personalizing the checkout steps. So the way they're shown there, you can personalize this a lot and make it the same with your brand and the same colors and fonts and all of that. But then you can highlight the checkout steps and also rename them in a way that makes sense to your audience, because maybe instead of information, you can say shipping details, and then shipping, it can be shipping costs, and then payment can be credit card details, because all the other payments are taking place in the express checkout order. But again, test it out and play around with it and see what formula works best.
Sorry, I had a quick question.
Please go ahead, Ishan.
Do you think a lot of cart platforms I've seen, they allow people to edit the cart objects from the order summary? So they have that, plus and minus symbols there, where if you want to add products, for example, to avail, say, free shipping, you can directly do it from here. Is that something that you guys feel that will increase conversions on these websites?
I'll take this one to begin with. I think it's conflicting with some other things as well, allowing users to edit the checkout, because it's creating the order in a way. And then, when you start, when you initiate the checkout, you have the details there. Then when you go back to the cart, you're initiating another checkout, another order if you're editing it. So I think it might cause a bit of a problem also with tracking and orders and the way it's tracking, I mean in analytics, and the checkout initiation rate. But I always feel like it could be so useful if I could really edit this, but I haven't. I don't think I've ever seen a platform in which you can do this. Have you seen anything like this? It's a great question, but I don't think it's
not really on Shopify, but typically, if you see quick commerce, say a DoorDash or whatever, I think till the end you can keep on editing that cart, which gives you a lot of conviction and control. Yeah, all the way through till the payment step. I'm just trying to draw a parallel there.
Anyway, Shopify are being very restrictive with the checkout. I saw their feedback on this and how everyone's just editing it and then things don't work and they're saying it's for security reasons. But I think compared to all of the other platforms, and don't get me wrong, I love Shopify because it liberated this for everyone, I think. But they're being much too restrictive with the checkout, and considering that you need to pay over $2,000 anyway to get Shopify Plus now to get access to the checkout template is another issue, which I think they're going to solve anyway with the checkout extensions that are just released now. So yeah, we'll see how it advances. But there are some. The idea is to at least try some workarounds and some hacks, let's say here. So that would I would love to see that the option. I think it's a good suggestion.
Awesome, thank you.
Great.
Thank you for the question, Sean.
Yes, thanks so much. Do we have any questions from LinkedIn? I'm just going to take a quick pass over there. I'm having some issues over there, so
tell me about it. My power dropped and everything.
So I'm, it's the inaugural test.
LinkedIn.
So thanks for being game here, Alun.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, I see that we're good here. I guess I want to start to wrap things up here and see from both of you if there's one piece of information that you would like attendees or the attendees to take away, what would that be? Andra, I'll have you go first.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think there are multiple takeaways. The first one is what Alun showed the first time. Just look at the main devices and try to, of course, have a flawless experience throughout on all devices, but whenever you're optimizing, just replicate the main journey, let's say. The second thing is not to take things for granted just because it's Shopify and everyone's doing it like this, or just because you see a big competitor of yours doing one thing. It doesn't mean it's the best formula, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't look into it and see how you can make things better. And that's why experimentation is so critical. And now basically anyone can do it. There are an array of tools available, from free to paid to simple to more complex, so you can experiment. And then the third takeaway and the last one I would say is don't assume everyone is seeing what you're seeing and everyone is understanding what you're showing them in the same way. So just try to understand users and what their obstacles are, let's say.
That's great. So Alun, I guess you get 3 takeaways.
I'm just doing one. My main takeaway is isolate the users who've gone through your form, clicked submit, but still don't convert. These are people who tried to give you money and you're just leaving it on the table. So see what they're doing, see what the behavior is, see if there's a difference, if you've got demographic data, see if there's any, anything there. But essentially the chart I showed you, if you just see what do people do after they click on the button and don't convert, where do they go back to? That will usually tell you your answers pretty quickly. This is where they're struggling with, this is your biggest fix. If with Zuko, if I just had one chart, that's all I'd do. I'd say, okay, they're clicking submit, they're bouncing back, they're trying to fix something, they abandon. Just see what they're doing, and that'll get you to, it'll help you drill down and then help develop your hypotheses there.
I love it.
But is that, Alan, the question for you, is that just indicating that your system isn't instrumented well? Because if instrumentation worked well, you would have statistics on the number of messages displayed of each type, and then you can correlate that with, abandonment or checkouts.
You can do that with Zuko. Yeah, it's part with our system. If you're talking about our system, Zuko, you can do that. You need to configure it, which we didn't in this case, because obviously each platform is different. So we need to add some configuration, and then you can get the data and look at that if you're looking at individual error messages, for example. But this was just a quick, okay, where are they jumping back to?
Mm-hmm.
Right, but ultimately you want to get to the point where all this is automated, and ideally, if you have the right logging, it would pop up as, here is an error messages that's highly correlated with people not finishing checkout.
Yes, which, well, say we do have some of those reports if we set it up, but I say every setup is much more involved to set it up, and we haven't done it in this case. But yes, you're correct. That, I mean, that's the goal, is looking for every behavior, including error messages or flows, that's correlated with abandonment, and then ideally giving it some sort of score.
That's on me. That is not implemented all the way because Alan sent all the codes, but the developer was on vacation because he needs a life, and I'm going to break the website. So.
Yeah. So in theory, it's possible to get more analysis, but.
So I love that. So the takeaway for me here is from you, Alan, is I just have this visual image of like a customer just trying to throw money, and getting it bounced back,
Pretty much, yes.
And I've definitely been in that position as a consumer. So I was really, really excited today to hear about the kind of the what happens behind the curtain, because as someone who buys a lot online, I don't have the sense, and I'm not a marketer. It was really, really interesting for me. And I'm sure that the people who are marketers here really were much more captivated and got a lot out of this. So thank you so much, both of you, for coming and sharing your expertise and putting this together. And I'm going to close it up for today. We have the recording, which would be available if you have signed up in the link. Other than that, you'll just have to take this beautiful experiment with LinkedIn Live forward.
It worked.
It worked. And if you have any comments or suggestions on what you want to see in the future or about today's event from the technical standpoint, please feel free to message me on LinkedIn. I'm the host, and I work with our marketing department to make sure that we run the best events for you. If you would like to get in touch with Andra and Alan, Andra, what's the best way to reach you?
LinkedIn for sure. So I think I'm in the event there as a host. You can connect with me. I'm more than happy to connect, share impressions. If you have any other questions or any, so Anita, for example, if you need any examples on the post-purchase optimization that we've done, I'm more than happy to share anything like that. So open conversation.
Awesome.
And LinkedIn is the best.
And for you, Alan?
Yeah, LinkedIn's the best. You can use my email if you want as well, which is alun@zuko.io. Otherwise, LinkedIn's simple.
Okay, perfect. Great. Well, thanks again, both of you. And
thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And thank you to everyone who's tuned in today. We'll see you again soon.
Perfect. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.